For deep-sea fishermen and sea captains, the sea is home. But the briny deep is home to danger, mystery, and terror. Here are some of the strangest and creepiest things ever found underwater. Fishermen are hunting for a valuable catch, but they're more than likely to fish out trash in some places. Who hasn't seen the cartoons of fishermen plucking an old boot out of the water? But one fisherman, only known as the Lightning Count 1 when he posted this story to Reddit, found something much creepier. He pulled an old briefcase out of the water and opened it thinking it might contain something valuable. Instead, it held multiple old damaged children's shoes. Was this the quarry of a traveling shoe salesman or something more nefarious? The ocean is full of strange things, some that can't be explained. If you're fishing or sailing solo, being on the open sea can be incredibly lonely. So it's not a surprise that many fishermen have reported odd experiences, hearing strange sounds or voices that can't be explained by any logic. This has led to many people believing that the ocean is haunted, but one fisherman thought the spirits may be trying to save him. He was alone on his small fishing boat when he suddenly heard a loud voice, "Move over!" when there was no one within half a mile. Was it his mind playing tricks on him, a territorial ghost, or a warning? He didn't stick around to find out. The ocean can be dangerous, sometimes for what it doesn't do. A Marine Corps veteran only known by Chatty Whacker on Reddit did a tour of duty, spending a lot of time on ships. He was sailing through the Pacific when suddenly everything went eerily quiet. The wind stopped completely. Looking down at the water, it looked like a perfectly smooth pane of glass, only broken by the moving ship. While this wasn't a threat at all to the powerful military ship, it was a chilling reminder of what happened to many ships in the past. A sail-powered ship that found itself in the doldrums could have easily been stranded with little hope of rescue. But as we go deeper, things get stranger. The oceans are full of litter, but few are more memorable than the next item. When Neil Armstrong launched into space on the Apollo 11, the engines from the rocket fell away as planned and landed in the ocean not far away from the launch site in Florida. And that's where it stayed until decades later, when a man with deep pockets decided to recover this piece of living history. Jeff Bezos funded a deep-sea search, recovered the now degraded engine, and kickstarted his ongoing mission to conquer space with the power of Amazon. And it's not the only industrial machine you'll find below. World War I and World War II were the most brutal wars in human history, and the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were home to some of the most intense combat. That left the seas littered with metal skeletons of what were once powerful war machines. The remnants of planes are the most common, frequently being shot down high above the sea. But explorers will also find massive submarines sunken by their fellow ships, along with occasional tanks and trucks that met unfortunate fates. But no matter their original purpose, they've all been reclaimed by the sea. And that's what happens to just about anything brought to rest in the deep sea. It's one of the creepiest sights you'll encounter in the seas. What looks like a person frozen deep below the water and covered in barnacles and rust. But it's not a person at all, it's a statue. How does a statue wind up under the water? Some were built a very long time ago, and the city they were part of now rests underwater after a disaster. Others might have fallen off board from a ship. Some others might have actually been built or placed underwater, like the famous Christ of the Abyss, built in Italy to memorialize a fallen scuba diver. But even stranger than finding one odd thing under the ocean, finding a lot of them in one place. New Jersey. Who doesn't love the Jersey Shore, where you can find boardwalks, cheesesteaks, and a mysterious train graveyard? It was 1985 when a group of divers found a collection of old train cars deep below the water. Even odder, there was no record of how they got there. Could they have fallen off a destroyed barge? Were they jettisoned off a ship to make it lighter during rough seas? Or was there crime involved? The early steam trains were dated back to the 1850s, are still in good condition, and remain a popular location for divers to explore. But one wreck has even more reason for people to keep coming back. Large, destroyed ships at the bottom of the ocean are nothing new, and the search for the Titanic captured the public's attention. But one ship still has people fascinated. The RMS Republic sank after a collision years before the Titanic, although only 6 people died. It wasn't found until 1981. Its ruins near Nantucket Island. So, why are people still determined to explore it today? Simple: money. Many reports indicate that the Republic has massive amounts of money on board in the form of gold coins. Some reports say $250,000, others say $3 million. But that was $1909, which would multiply the value of any cargo by roughly 30. What's larger than a massive ship underwater? How about a whole city? The city of Heraklion was one of Egypt's key cities during the last days of the pharaohs. But much like that reign, it didn't last forever. Natural disasters including earthquakes and tsunamis damaged the city until the soil under it liquefied, leading much of the city to sink into the sea. There it stayed until 1933, when a British pilot sighted the ruins deep in the water. Explorers have since found countless remnants of the ancient civilization, including coins, pottery, boats, and even a small Greek temple. The finds have been described as the closest thing to discovering the legendary sunken city of Atlantis. But undersea architecture doesn't have to be ancient. Imagine you're drifting through the waters off the coast of France and you see a bizarre sight. It looks like an underwater high-rise office building, and it does have countless residents, but none of them are human. This is an artificial coral reef designed to help the valuable ocean life forms rebuild after human damage to their habitat. They start out looking like sleek metal structures in different forms and then have marine life attached to them. They grow on them, transforming the object into a permanent reef that provides food and hiding places for fish. But really, humans don't have to provide bizarre or creepy things to the ocean. The ocean does just fine with that on its own. How do you find a river deep under the water? It might look like magic, but the Cenote Angelita Cave is actually a strange natural phenomenon. The massive cave looks like it has stunningly clear water flowing through it, the result of a cloud of hydrogen sulfide released by organic debris in the cave. It causes the seawater to separate from the fresh groundwater in the cave, creating the illusion of two different streams of water flowing through the same underwater area. If this was a video game, following the underwater river would definitely lead to a bonus level. This next strange phenomenon will point you in the right direction. It's a common sight in a cave, a rock formation pointing downwards. You're used to seeing them made out of ice hanging from the rafters, but located in the ocean, it's called a brinicle, and these dagger-shaped ice formations are surprisingly common. Seawater freezes in the cold polar oceans, and this means the salt particles are expelled from the ice. This creates a powerful blast of dense, cold, salty water that freezes at a lower temperature. When it hits the ocean, ice forms around it, creating a long, sharp, hollow icicle that looks a lot like a finger. But there's nothing scarier under the water than something you just can't identify. It was 2011 and treasure hunters from Sweden were searching the floor of the Baltic Sea. They weren't prepared to see something genuinely bizarre. A circular-shaped object at the bottom that had indentations on the front that made it look a lot like the famous Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. A spaceship? Could this be a sunken UFO? Anything's possible, and tabloid magazines immediately latched onto the story, while geologists analyzed it and said it was likely a glacial formation. That hasn't stopped conspiracy theorists from latching on to every image. Of course, sometimes the scariest thing about the ocean is its residents. Remember those pill bugs you saw as a kid? Little bugs that would curl up into a ball when you touched them? They were kinda cute, but they'd be a lot less cute if they were up to 2 feet long, and they look more like giant alien monsters that are the first wave of an invasion, but they're a lot less menacing than they look. These seabed scavengers are an essential part of the ecosystem, eating organic debris that would otherwise pollute the ocean, and they can be found scurrying along the bottom of any large body of water. They're completely harmless to humans, so maybe just give them a wide berth. When it comes to ocean creatures, sometimes size is the most disturbing part. The jellyfish is a pain in the butt in the best of circumstances, delivering painful stings to any diver who comes too close. Some can even be deadly, but most are small and easy to avoid. Not the lion's mane jellyfish, a massive moon-shaped creature that can be 7 feet across, and that's before you look at the tentacles. It pulls a massive web of tentacles behind it that can be over 100 feet long. Their sting isn't particularly deadly, just painful, but their massive body can cause a lot of stings, even after they're dead. In 2010, 150 tourists were stung by chunks of a dead lion's mane on a New Hampshire beach. The deep sea is full of bizarre creatures, but few are as terrifying as the anglerfish. Fish see a small glowing light in the distance, float toward it, only to discover it's attached to a hungry fish that reveals a mouthful of sharp teeth and gulp. The anglerfish is one of the best predators out in the deep sea, but its size surprised many deep-sea fishermen. The fish can grow almost 4 feet in length and over 100 pounds, meaning it might not only be a threat to deep-sea fish. Whatever you do, don't go toward the light. But no mystery under the sea captivated people quite like this one. The year was 1901, and the discovery of a shipwreck near the green island of Antikythera revealed something shocking. Buried deep within the wreckage was a massive piece of machinery, full of gears and inscriptions. It was obviously a highly advanced machine, but it dated back to ancient Greece. It puzzled scientists, and many readers wondered if it had come from a lost civilization or even aliens. It would be decades before a full understanding of the machine became possible. and it's now known as the first analog computer, used to track astronomical positions and eclipses, as well as the Olympic cycle at the time. Reconstruction efforts are still ongoing, and the machine, now known as the Antikythera mechanism, remains one of the biggest mysteries in the ocean's history. For more bizarre mysteries, check out Weirdest Unsolved Mysteries, or watch real-life ghost story, Mystery of the Mary Celeste Ghost Ship, for another eerie tale of the seas.